Before we can think about leading others through change, we really need to understand how we process it ourselves. And this is going to help us better understand how others process it and really think through those different steps. So up next, we're going to think about what's happening in our brain as we catch and receive and or lead a change and how that unfolds. So here's the emotional roller coaster. It all begins with that initial anxiety. And the question that you're probably asking yourself is, can I cope? Can I deal with what is happening? And then from there, one or two things happen. There might be this spike of actual happiness of saying, this is good. I need this. This is going to make life easier. I understand why we're doing it. I can get on board. And then from there, there's, but how? How is this going to work? And it's often followed by the what I call what ifing ourselves to death. And that presents itself in many different ways. So, what if it doesn't work? What if it makes things harder? What if something catastrophic happens? And again, I'm talking about both personal and professional changes here. So, this is actually known as fear. Does anybody know why? Why do we do this? Why do we go to that what if in our brain? I'm going to tell you a little secret about this. The reason why we would us ourselves to death is because we're trying to control the situation. And a lot of times we're trying to come up with every bad possible scenario that could happen. We're trying to protect ourselves, we're trying to prepare ourselves. And I don't know about you, but sometimes my brain will go to the worst possible place that it can go when thinking about a change. So I would like to share with you what I've learned about this and studying change management and understanding why people do this. And what I've learned is anxiety is manufactured by the fear of the unknown. And I know this is no surprise of me telling you this, but what it tends to do is give us a lot of wasted energy on thinking and spending time on that worrying. And those are sometimes things that will never, ever happen in reality. Who knows how our brain comes up with these things, right? But no matter how we try, we continue to try to control it. And at the end of the day, we can't control it, right? So the fear grows, it festers, it turns into guilt, depression, sometimes hostility. And if you look on that screen and you see that dip, that's the ultimate low of the roller coaster there. We call that the valley of despair. And sometimes people do not come out of that valley, right? They get stuck there. We all know there are people that never come out of that valley. So now another thing to note here is about anger, right? If you see that pink arrow in the downhill decline to the valley, and you'll notice that anger is over some of these other things. What that really means is anger is a secondary emotion, meaning that if you take a look at what lies beneath that anger, it's fear and it's threat. So a tip is if you find yourself getting angry or you see anger presented in others, you can stop and you can ask, what is really causing that anger? And personal, this is great for relationships, partner, children, parents, siblings, because we probably see a lot of anger. I know I do in my life. That's completely normal for a parent, right? But lots of times underneath that is fear, hurt, or frustration. So we're at the $1 million question here. And somebody actually asked me this last week. How do I stop worrying and how do I help others to stop worrying? As a fellow warrior, I am not an expert, but I'm going to give you my best advice. So let's think about yourself first. So, first thing first, try to remember that you are in the driver's seat of your brain. And when you find yourself worrying, acknowledge that is normal. It's human nature. That's fine. But how do you steer yourself back? And that is actually different for everyone. So for me, I like to take whatever I'm worrying about and ask myself, why am I spending my time and energy worrying about this? And then remind myself, I can't control it. And then tell myself, I need to let it go. And that honestly is the hardest part, right? So, my best advice, bring yourself back into the present to stop worrying about the future. So, whatever that looks like for you, for me, it's running or yoga, listening to great music, calling a friend and laughing, being in nature, meditating, whatever you need to do it. And if you don't have a lot of time, one quick, really grounding exercises that I like that can help. If you want to come back to the present, name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can hear, and 1 thing you can taste. It really works because it actually forces you to be present. Now, for others, how do we bring them along? I know we can't go around giving everyone grounding exercises. I want to be realistic here. But what we do need to do is love them. And I know you're saying, wait a minute, well, what are you talking about here? So I mean love as in LUVE. Listen, understand, and validate. Ask them why they are feeling this way and take the time to really love them. So from here, there are a few tracks somebody can take from that anger. One is to move into complete denial, as you see on the screen, some into complete disillusionment, and we can't save them all, right? But hopefully, once you and or your team understand the why for change, then you can begin to accept it and even come to the point where you can embrace it and climb up the hill.